Cross-examination is the portion of the round where debaters will have 3 minutes to answer and ask questions from one another in order to do a bunch of different things within the round. Just like in any speech within debate, cross-examination should be something that you put a lot of focus into when you are debating, because it can win you or lose you around without even giving an actual speech that the judge should be writing down. So just like anything in debate, we should have something we like to call goals. And these goals should dictate what you want to do in the cross examination, right? So there are a few goals that we can have. The first goal that we can have is to clarify the case debate or the off case positions to figure out information pertaining to the previous speech. Right? Another goal that we can have is to attack. And the third goal is to defend. Right? When you are attacking, you are trying to find holes within their case neg to win round. When you are defending, you are preventing opponents from garnering offense versus your case slash neg. Right? So let's start off with the first one, which is the clarification and what you need to be knowing when you're doing clarification. So clarification is probably just a roundabout way of saying, do you know what your case is saying and can you defend the ideas behind your case? Right? One of the things in clarification that you need to know is topic knowledge. And case knowledge. Topic knowledge is, do you know enough about the topic and how your case connects to it or your negative position connects to it in order to defend it? I.e., if we are doing the lethal autonomous weapons topic from Jan Feb of this past season, if you don't know the ideas behind, lethal autonomous weapons and how the international organizations, whether it becomes or international organizations as well as like giant states, interact with laws and how your case fits into it, you're going to have a tough time being able to defend and clarify to the other, to your opponents, whether or not you actually know the arguments that you were saying, and it would make selling then your case to the judge much more difficult in the 1AR or the 1AR and then 2AR. Because if you can't answer a simple how does lethal autonomous weapons from your case being banned resolve or not get into any circumvention arguments, if you can't answer that because you don't know enough about how laws and laws enforcement functions and how your AF connects to it, then you're going to have a very, very difficult time to just win because you'll be down on the solvency question, right? Topic knowledge is a portion of defending and attacking, but it's just like, do you know enough about the topic to be able to do cross-sex on the topic? And secondly, case knowledge is, do you know who your authors are, right? Authors, articles. What else can we do about case knowledge? Impacts, right? Solvency story, etc. If you don't know who your specific authors are in the round and you get asked who they are and why should the judge care about them, or you read a questionable author that actually should be indicted, it helps to know about those sorts of things so you can avoid questionable authors and you can use really good ones to help beef up your case. Knowing the articles where your cards are being cut from, or the books, I think books can also be here, right, where they come from is also important, not just in a policy-centered round, but in a critique-centered round, literally any round, right? If the AF has a sentence that says lethal autonomous weapons are dangerous, and then the article later clarifies in this specific instance, and you don't know that later clarification and the negative does, then it's going to make defending your case difficult when they bring that up because you didn't know that about your case article. When you're doing with critiques, if you don't know the context of where the book is coming from, and your not enemies, but your opponents do, it becomes much more easy for the negative or the affirmative, whoever's attacking the critique, to beat you because they'll have a better knowledge about the arguments that you're making within this debate. And when it comes to impact, knowing how your impact calculus functions from the get-go, knowing where the conflicts are between the affirmative and negative in terms of like impact calc, right? Whether it's a nuclear war versus structural violence, etc., helps you get an idea of how to defend your AF and how to be able to do cross-examination. Same thing with a solvency story. If you don't know how passing a ban on international laws would be done, then we don't know how the AF solves, and you probably don't get to be playing this game very long with L's, right? So another thing that we like to do is attack cases. So what does that mean? This means that if you are more well-read on the arguments that your opponents are making, or not even more well-read, but like you know the things that they're saying, you have the opportunity to attack portions of it that you find problematic. Let's say for attack, there is a turn, right? A turn by the neg that is later taken out by another argument later in the round. Well, that might be a good time to point that out, right? So the judge has an idea of where the debate is probably going to go, and it puts the negative in a position where they have to defend their case and prove why having these sorts of arguments is good in the round. And not gonna lie, if you're on the case debate and you do two turns that don't really work with each other, or you take a turn, then you make a defensive argument that takes it out, it becomes easier for the 1AR to go up in the next speech, right? And just extend my argument from cross-X. This is what it said. They didn't have a good defense of it. This is really bad because, right? And then you impact that out. What does that mean? It means that you probably don't look at this argument because if this is their only case turn, that probably beefs up your case, right? Same thing when you're doing with like critique debates, and I think this is more where I'm familiar with in terms of the critique, right? When you're attacking the critique, you are definitely going to be looking at the different articulations of the theory of power, right, within the critique, and you're trying to find inconsistencies, or you're trying to make them prove that they know what they're talking about. So we've been doing some cap case stuff in the other lecture by Ney, and one of the things that we need to know is the theory of power, right, of cap. Now, if we're talking I laws, one of the things we need to know is arms trading, all right, and international law. If the team who is dealing with this K knows that there are inconsistencies when it comes to the explanation of international law per the link evidence, or they can't explain how this link evidence works, then this is something to be attacked on, right? Because if you take out the link to the internationalism, stuff right here, then it becomes harder to win that critique if you're negative versus the AF, because that builds the entire theory of power, of how internationalism functions, etc., etc., etc. Right? And so if you can attack multiple points within the negative or the affirmative, not only will it reveal whether or not the opponent knows their stuff, but it'll also give you offense for your later speech to make a game-winning argument if need be, right? And probably the third thing that we always do is defend our case, right? This goes 1, 2, and 3 basically all go in hand while one person is attacking, one person is defending, and it's all about like clarifications of those arguments and whether or not those debaters know those arguments. So when you're defending, right, you need to be looking at your case, and you're always going to be looking for holes. So when I am running a soft left AF or a policy centered AF, and I'm looking at my case, I should be ready for certain negative positions to be run on me, especially if it's a very topical AF with core generics that link to it. And I should be ready to defend those positions, i.e., if I am on the laws topic, I am looking for picks. I am looking for different nation picks, different weapons picks. I'm looking for conditions, right? And I'm looking for like, how does my affirmative generally answer this, so that when cross-X comes and they do run those positions, right? Or when cross-X comes and you know they're gonna run those positions, you're ready to defend your case and how your case would interact with those positions. Now, this is just like a very, very basic way to look at cross-examination, but have your goals in mind, be ready to clarify, find information, be ready to attack your opponents, and be ready to defend your own case. And if you can do those things well with practice, then you will get a lot more W's in terms of just being able to be just having a really good knowledge base upon not only your case but their cases, and that makes it easier for the judge to then look at your point of view in the round, especially if you're articulating it better and you're explaining it better throughout the entire round. This takes practice. Again, it takes a lot of knowledge. It takes a lot of reading. You can't just like go into cross-X thinking you're going to be all that. You need to do some reading about the topic. You need to do a lot of reading about your case, and you need to do a lot of prep work as to like what can people say against your own positions in order to be effective at cross-X. Okay, and this is it for this. Thank you very much.